to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me once again for some more real estate content. As you can see today, I am in a new studio. I am actually at our office, and this does not compare to my white sheet at home. It's so nice here. I'm so excited to be filming here today, so I hope you enjoy the new background. Today we're going to be talking about important things to look for when touring a home. Before we get into that, I just want to go over really quickly some of the different COVID protocols we've been taking now that we are doing open houses in a pandemic. A lot of this I'm sure you are aware of because we've been in this thing for over a year now, but I just wanted to go over these things really quick to give you an idea of how open houses have changed since the pandemic. Now, of course, go to showings or opens if you can. The difference between the two is an open house is when a realtor is holding the house open for a certain period of time and anybody can come in during that time. A showing is when your realtor contacts the listing agent and reserves a specific time frame in order to go in and give you a private showing. Either way, whichever one is available, go to it if you're in the area, if you're able to. Of course, if you're out of state, that's not possible, but if you're able to, please go, because it is really different to see a home in person rather than on a screen. Now, of course, you know the drill. We've got masks, we've got sanitizer, we've got Clorox wipes, we've got booties. If you don't know, booties are just these little things, like cloth things that you put on your shoes so that you don't leave any tracks throughout the house when you're touring. So these are just some of the things that you will see in an open house right now. If you can, please bring your own mask. Sometimes they will provide a mask if you don't have one, but I'm sure you do by now. So definitely something that you should be expecting when you're going to an open house during this time. I would really urge you not to touch things as much as possible right now. Realtors are trying to keep doors open, trying to open some cabinets, some drawers for you so that you can see what everything looks like without having to touch anything. If you do want to touch something, either ask the realtor to do it, or sometimes they'll give you like a Clorox wipe to open things with. And again, we're just trying to respect the seller and keep their home safe. So ask the realtor if you want to open something if it's not already opened. Another thing that has been more common now during the COVID era is sign-in sheets. Now, sign-in sheets were present before. It's when you come in, a realtor will ask you to sign in, put your name in a way that they can contact you. They want to be able to have a way to contact you because then they can reach out if you have any more questions about the property, and if you need representation, they can offer their services to you. But right now, sign-in sheets have a double purpose. When people are coming in, touring the home, we've got multiple groups, multiple people coming in. Sign-in sheets are great to track exactly who's been in the house, how many people have been in the house, and it's great for COVID contact tracing. In case anyone gets sick, we can let people know so that they are able to get tested if they need to. And the final thing, don't be afraid to ask your agent to do a video tour for you via Facetime or Zoom, or even just take a video and send it to you, especially if you're out of state, or even if you're in the area and you're unable to tour the home because you're busy. There are so many resources now, and we've learned how to use a lot of these methods in order to show people homes even when they can't be there in person. So utilize your agent. That's what they're there for. Ask them to do a video tour for you if that's something that you want. Also, look for video and virtual tours on the actual listing itself. Sometimes the listing agent will already provide that with the home when they list it, but especially if they don't, ask your agent to show you the home virtually if that's something that you need. All right, now let's get into what you should be on the lookout for when you're touring a home. I wanted to reference two videos that I watched before filming mine that I found to be really helpful. I absolutely encourage you to watch them as well after you watch mine. They are 15 Things to Look For When Viewing a House by Moving to Dallas with Chase, and What to Look For When Touring a House, Viewing House Checklist by Anthony George. Both really great videos. I encourage that you watch them as well. Now, the first thing to look for before you even get to the house is the area that the home is in. So when you're driving to the house, make note of the area. Are there busy roads? Are there train tracks or an airport nearby? This will contribute to any noise that you hear when you're living in your home. Also, when you're driving through the area, make note of any entertainment, parks, trails, stores, grocery stores, because those are things that you will need in your life, that you'll need easy access to, especially if you have kids and you don't have a huge yard space or pets. You'll want a park or a trail nearby that would likely be important to you. So make notes of these little things when you're driving through the area. You're always able to ask the realtor that's hosting the open house about details about the area. They should do their research before they're open so they can provide some information to you as well. But it's always good to be vigilant of those things when you're driving to the open house. The second thing that's important to know is, will you have privacy? Are the homes super close to each other, or are they spaced far enough apart that you feel like you have some space? Is your home positioned in a way that you feel like you're not being watched all the time? I've had somebody tell me that they felt like their neighbors always had a bird's eye view onto them, and you know, when your kids are playing in the yard, when you just want to hang out with your friends and family, you don't want people to be watching over you. So make note of that. Do you feel like you have enough privacy in that home? Coming back to the busy road real quick, another thing to consider, even if your house is by a busy road, is the house set back far enough that you feel like you're safe from that busy road? Especially again if you have kids or pets. The house that I showed this Sunday was next to or on a busy road, but it was gated and set back pretty far, and the house was so huge that you probably couldn't hear the road noise anyway. So take note of all of these different factors so that you can determine if you're okay with that busy road or if you'd rather find a home in a quieter area. Now the third thing you want to take a look at before even walking into the house when you are looking at the exterior, make sure there aren't any wall cracks or rot on the outside. Quick story time, my husband and I were actually watching a house on our street be sold, remodeled, and flipped, and my husband had noticed that there were cracks in the foundation. And we were like, okay, well, you know, my husband's been looking for investment properties and he was considering that one, but after seeing the cracks in the foundation, he was like, okay, no, I don't want to deal with that. And when we were watching it be remodeled and flipped, we noticed that the flippers put a skim coat on those cracks so that they wouldn't be visible. That layer of skim coat made the foundation look like it was in good shape, but that is a warning sign, so watch out for that and have an inspection done. And when your inspector comes in, make sure that they're checking to make sure there are no cracks in the foundation. Sometimes people will put that layer of skim coat on just to hide the issue, but you want to be aware if there are issues with the foundation before you purchase the home. If you're purchasing a 40s or a 50s house with fresh foundation, that is something you want your inspector to look at. Again, sometimes the houses that are a little bit older, that are 40s and 50s homes, they will have an empty cinder block foundation. Cinder block isn't necessarily bad, but all that cavities have to be filled with concrete so that it is just as strong as a monolith pour. So again, you want to make sure there are no cracks and that the foundation is strong enough. So look at that yourself, take a look at the exterior, but also mention that to your inspector so that they can check that out as well. The fourth thing to make note of when you are looking at a house, when you're touring a home, when you walk in, is there a strong odor? Now, the most prominent one that I would watch out for is a pet odor. Sometimes that doesn't have to be a deal breaker, but make note of that and try and gauge if the scent is just, you know, you can smell it, but if you really deep clean the house and air it out, it'll probably go away. Or is that scent really just a package deal with the house now? Does it come with the home? Has it sunken into all of the areas of the house? If somebody's had a pet for a long time, that could be the case. So make sure that you are trying to gauge how strong the odor is and if it's not too bad to the point where you can just clean and that odor will be gone. The fifth thing to take a look at when touring a home is the windows. If the windows are foggy, if it looks like they have like this fog on them, then that probably means that they have a very poor seal. They might be a little bit old and they might need to be replaced. So again, I'm not a professional inspector, you're probably not a professional inspector, so that's something you really want your inspector to look at, but just make note of those things. Windows can be a costly replacement, so take a look at those windows. If they're foggy, that seal might be bad. The sixth thing to look for is settlement cracks. So in my home, in the home where my husband and I live, we have some settlement cracks in our kitchen between our crown and our ceiling. We've got like this crack here. If I can, I will take a video of it to show you. So small settlement cracks like that are pretty normal. I mean, a house settles, there are going to be cracks if there are small ones here and there. That's not a big deal. But if you notice big cracks, that might be another indicator that there is something wrong with the foundation. The seventh thing to look for, do the doors shut the way that they're supposed to? Do they fit the door frame? If they don't, if you're having a tough time shutting those doors, that may indicate, again, that there's something wrong with the foundation. The eighth thing to look for is any stains or damage on the carpet or just the floor in general. Something a little tip for you. When you go into a house and it's beautifully staged and it just looks absolutely wonderful, beautiful, fantastic, sometimes they'll put some of that staging furniture or like rugs to cover stains or damage with the carpet or the flooring. So don't go picking up couches and flipping over everything in the house to look under everything to make sure everything's good. But don't be afraid to look a little bit deeper, maybe lift some things, lift a rug or two to make sure that there's nothing sketchy underneath that. And if the carpet has some serious stains or damage, you might want to just move on to a different house because again, Depending on your budget and if you are okay with a fixer-upper, carpet can be another costly thing to replace. The ninth thing, also talking about floors, does the floor feel uneven when you walk on it? That could be a sign of some floor damage. Are there cracks in the tile or the hardwood? Is the wood swollen in some places? Sometimes when there's water damage, the hardwood floors will kind of pucker and be swollen and lifted and raised. One time I left a wet towel on my hardwood floors. I forgot that it was there, and when I removed it, it had been there for a few hours. The floor was visibly, and like when I would run my hand over it, it was puffy and raised in some places. That's a sign of water damage. The floor was soaked by that towel, and now that it has those bumps. Surprisingly enough, they have actually gone away pretty much completely. So again, if you're seeing the damage when you're touring the house, it's probably been there for a while and it's probably significant. So take a look at that when you're touring the home. Now the 10th thing, I combined a few things in one because these are things that I am not an expert in checking. That would be your furnace, your water heater, and your AC. Have an inspector check those things out. Absolutely get an inspection. You do not want to be purchasing a home that has issues with any of those three things because those are super costly to replace. So get an inspection done. Have your inspector come in and double check that everything is working properly, that everything is in good shape. You can ask the realtor that's hosting the open how old all of those things are so that you can have an idea of whether or not you think they may need to be replaced. And if you feel comfortable and confident checking those things out yourself, I encourage you to do so. But the realtor is not necessarily the expert in those things, and you might not be an expert in those things, so get an inspection. And even if you feel like you're a little bit nervous and the realtor isn't giving you much information, don't let that discourage you. You can still submit an offer subject to interior inspection. So if there's something wrong with the water heater, the AC, or the furnace, you do not have to go through with that sale if you make your offer subject to interior inspection and there ends up being something wrong. The 11th thing you want to take a look at when touring a home is the roof. Again, I'm not a professional roof inspector, and you're probably not a professional roof inspector, so the inspector is going to check that out for you as well. But it's not a bad idea to take a glance at it, especially since you're already there. Are there any missing shingles? Is it discolored? Does it look visibly old? Is it overgrown? Because you probably don't want to be buying a house that needs a roof replacement unless you're specifically looking for a fixer-upper. Now this 12th tip, the last tip, is twofold. So for the first part of it, don't let a sort of messy, cluttered, poorly staged home discourage you from purchasing unless there's something seriously wrong with it. If you walk in and you're like, okay, this isn't really my aesthetic, don't let that discourage you from seeing the home's true potential. When we purchased our house, we were looking for a fixer-upper, so it was an absolute train wreck disaster when we purchased it. And I remember going in there, looking at it and being like, how is this ever going to be a house that we can live in, that we can actually love? I was having a hard time seeing that potential, and thank goodness my husband saw that potential, and my dad and everybody else that had helped us remodel that house, because I was having a hard time seeing it. So when you're looking at a house, especially a fixer-upper, don't let its current state detract you from what its potential could be. The second part of this tip is don't let beautiful staging, gorgeous furniture distract you from potential issues with the house. There are homes that can be just staged to perfection, but when you move in, that staging is going to be gone. So when you go in, be as objective as possible. Don't let that blind you to any potential issues with the home. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope these tips were helpful to you. If you have any additional questions, please reach out. I'd love to answer them for you, or drop a comment and I will absolutely respond. And yeah, thank you so much for spending your time with me today. And of course, if you need anybody to help you throughout the buying process, especially if you're a first-time buyer, if you need somebody to take you to showings and walk you through everything, I'm your person. I got you. I will be so happy to help, so reach out if that is you. If you found this video helpful or beneficial in any way, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out so much. And also turn on the bell notification so you get notified every time I upload. I upload consistently on Thursdays. Usually my videos go up at 8 a.m. and it's been pretty consistent, so I'm hoping to keep it that way. So definitely tune in every Thursday. I would love to have you here with me. Follow me on my social media. My Instagram is @Irina Dee. My TikTok is @Irina Dee PDX Realty. I post a lot of real estate content on there. I've been posting a lot more reels on my Instagram, and of course on TikTok I'm very active as well. So follow me on there if you want to be a part of my journey, if you want to see the houses that I hold open. I love to do little house tours, so absolutely follow me on there. I would love to get to know you, to chat. DM me if you have any questions. Of course, I'm always available, so let me know. Alright, you guys, thanks again for watching this video, and I will see you next week. Bye!
you.